Hello, I'm Dr. Lipi Roy, and welcome to my show, Health, Humor, and Harmony. Today's episode is a really special one because I'll be speaking with actress and activist Jamie-Lynn Sigler. She's best known for her portrayal as daughter Meadow on The Sopranos. But what most people don't know is that at the age of 20, on the third season of the HBO hit show, Jamie-Lynn received a diagnosis that would change the course of her life: multiple sclerosis. MS is a disease that affects the central nervous system, that is the brain, the spinal cord, and the optic nerves. The person's immune system attacks myelin, which is the protective sheath covering the nerve fibers. This leads to communication problems between the brain and the rest of the body. Symptoms range from numbness, weakness, unsteady gait, partial or complete vision loss, slurred speech, and other symptoms. Thankfully, treatment is available, and I'll discuss that later. In the meantime, I got to ask Jamie-Lynn questions about her journey with MS, including initial symptoms, treatments, and why she's speaking out, including her partnership with Novartis and ReframingMS.com. Jamie-Lynn is so delightful. Let's get started.
So I'm Lipi Roy, Dr. Lipi Roy. I'm an internal medicine doctor and an addiction doctor and public health advocate. My viewers know me. It's my YouTube show. This is the one and only Jamie-Lynn Sigler, wonderful actress and activist. And Jamie-Lynn, I'm so honored to talk to you and meet you. Can you tell us about your journey with multiple sclerosis, including when you first had signs or symptoms that you felt something was wrong, and what those were and what you did about it?
Yes, I was very young. I was 20 years old, and otherwise very healthy. Was in a moment of my career was flourishing, lots of life, good things happening. Initially started to feel some numbness and tingling in my feet, a sensation that was kind of rising as the days went on. And so I went to get it checked out and was not expecting to get a diagnosis such as MS. And for my own reasons at the time, I think out of fear and self-preservation and just not knowing how, not only to accept it myself, but how anybody else would, I decided to keep it a secret. And I think to my own detriment, unfortunately. I think that because of that, for a number of years, I was unable to get the support that I needed. I didn't know how to express myself or have a voice with my own doctor about how I was feeling or what I was going through. A lot of it was like stuffing it down, willing it away, ignoring it. And I think unfortunately during that time, a lot of the symptoms progressed. Then it came to a point where I had created a small enough support system around me where I felt like if I did come public and I did talk to people about this, I would have these people to fall back on and still figure out what life could be despite that. And so
in this small group of your support system, did you share your diagnosis with them?
Yes. Yes. Over time, it just, I slowly expanded the circle of people that I trusted, and they fiercely protected me for many of those years, even though I think that they wished that I wasn't ashamed or embarrassed or fearful that I was living with something like this, which I was surprised to learn later, when I did come public, from a lot of people that live with MS, not in the public light at all, that for whatever reason, we keep it a secret for a little while.
Well, so first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. And, I'll share with the public something I've shared many times, which is that first and foremost, a person's individual diagnosis, whether it be a mental health diagnosis, medical, physical, it's personal. It's personal information, and nobody is obligated to share that, first of all. And you're somebody who's clearly in the public eye. For those of you who don't know, Ms. Sigler was in The Sopranos, a huge hit show. Were you diagnosed before? What was the timeline relative to that huge show?
No, I was in the middle of working on the show.
So tell us a little bit more about that in terms of the combination of the I'm hearing some fear, surprise, shock at the diagnosis, combined with the stress and the public persona being on this massive television show.
Yeah, I think all of that took its toll.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, for one moment, reach out for help. I had no resource, no therapist. I didn't talk about it with my MS specialist. I didn't talk about it with my friends. I think also there was like a part of me that didn't want to be a burden. I didn't know how to ask for help. Asking for help was not something that came naturally to me. I'm also learning the more that I am expressing this and telling my story. I think it's just like a human problem in general. Like, we all want to be capable of doing everything ourselves, but that's actually impossible.
And studies actually show that women particularly are disproportionately less likely to ask for help.
Well,
they feel more shame. They don't want to be a burden, to use your words. I've done the same thing. My own female patients, my own mother, we just don't ask for help. And to your point as well, to our detriment.
Yeah.
So when you were diagnosed, what happened then? What were your next steps? Were you then seeing a specialist, doctors, a care team? What happened then?
Yeah, I had an MS specialist that I would see only when he requested to see me, which, again, is very different than the way that I operate and handle and manage my RMS now. And so I think, like I said, through those years, I think that the disease progressed because I just didn't know how to manage it at all in any way, in any area of my life. And then it got to this point where I was aware how that was harming me, and I was also aware of what I was robbing myself of. Yeah. So coming public with it was this scary moment about, hey world, I have this, and I've had this for quite some time. How are you going to feel about me now? Right. Industry, do you still want to hire me? Like, friends and stuff, do you still want to hang out with me? A lot of different things. And I was pleasantly surprised of the warmth and encouragement, not only from people in my personal life and in my creative industry, but also the MS community, which is really tight-knit and strong and fierce, because we get it. We may physically be affected differently, but we understand what it's like to live with this. And then so from then till now has been this beautiful, hard, empowering journey of self-reflection. And in that time, I think I've come to accept the fact that this is something that I live with. And now how do I move forward? So I teamed up with Novartis in creating this 3-step guide for those living with MS, but also I can think like anyone can find this useful, in that the 3 steps are reflection, reflect, reframe, and reach out. So in the reflection process, right, so we're talking about sitting with those difficult feelings that can come with a diagnosis or come with bad news, where it's fear, grief, sadness, depression, really allowing myself to process through that, and in that process, really laying the foundation for getting to know what it is that I'm going to need and what is the support that I'm going to need from there. And then the second step is reframe. So it's reframe, okay, what does this mean for my life? How do I reframe my life? I still want to be an actress. I'm a mom and I want to have more children, and I still want to participate and go to concerts with my friends and baseball games and all this stuff. So how do I still navigate despite my physical limitations? And then the third step is reach out. So creating that support system and asking for the help. And I was so pleasantly surprised and shocked, to be honest, when I initially started asking for help, how much, first, people wanted to help. Yeah. And 2, how much help was available. And I give my MS specialist a lot of the credit too of helping me find my voice, because he once told me in one of our initial sit-downs, Jamie, your voice needs to be the loudest in this room. Because I think sometimes you can sit across from your doctor and just have them pour all this information at you, and you're processing, you're not saying how you feel you have no choice in the matter, no choice in And you can feel powerless when you get a disease like RMS, right? When you're diagnosed. And so for him to give me some of my power back and my voice and have choice, really, I took that with me in all areas of my life. And, you know, I live a life with limitations. I live a life with choices that have to be made, extra thought, care has to be made daily.
Yes.
But I'm still living my life as fully and as beautifully as I ever imagined. It doesn't look the same necessarily. And there are days that are hard, no doubt. And on those days, my biggest supporter, my pillar of strength, my husband will always look at me and say, but you did it, Jamie. And that's all that matters, is showing up and trying and doing my best. And if you go to reframingms.com, I think that I'm proud of the work that we did in creating this guide, because I really feel like despite my platform, I'm no different than anybody else that's living with MS. I understand it deeply. I have had a journey with it and an experience with it. And
the journey continues.
And it continues, and it's not over, and it's evolving. And I will continue to go back to step one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's what it's there for. That's what the guide is there, is to fall back and to have in the times that you need it.
So much that you just said, Jamie-Lynn, it resonates with me as a woman, but especially as a doctor who takes care of a lot of patients with all different types of chronic illnesses. And one key thing that you said was really important, like basically patient-centered care, empowering the individual who has whatever illness, in this particular case, multiple sclerosis. Mm-hmm. And you know, the first lesson we learn on day one of medical school is that your number one teacher is going to be your patient.
Wow.
And so someone like you're a perfect example of somebody who illustrates that, yeah, I might have this condition, this diagnosis, I didn't expect it, but whatever emotions I have, in your case, what uncertainty, maybe frustration, your emotions are valid.
Yes.
And, you know, that was, I think, that your first R, really reflecting on those emotions. I would say identifying them and reflecting them and validating them. I think this is just so important. What's a message you would give to people with multiple sclerosis, particularly women with MS that are out there, based on your experiences and journey?
Yeah. Well, look, I want to empower them. I want to have them believe in all of the possibility, but first and foremost, I want to honor whatever they're feeling, and whatever they're feeling is valid and real, and we're human, and there's an array of colors that come along with this, but also open yourself up to the support system and help. I think more than anything, like you said, as women in particular, it's really hard for us
Don't ask
to
for
ask
help.
for help. We want to be the superwoman, but
Yeah.
we really are. And I found, and I say all the time, that MS gave me my superpower, which is vulnerability. And you know, I used to think that we had to be like perfect in order for people to want to be around us or connect with us, and it's the exact opposite.
And never show sign of weakness, and that's just so wrong.
No, I am drawn to people that are open and vulnerable and honest and raw and real. And so while I have this platform, like I said, I understand, and I want to give women and people that live with MS permission, feel what they feel, but also know there's a place to go from there.
And can you, to the extent that you feel comfortable, just share what treatment looks for you? Because I'm assuming you still have symptoms, but your symptoms are now reduced or better improved. What's that regimen kind of look like?
Well, treatment, the treatment options are something that I discuss in depth with my MS specialist, like we said, and that's a lot of having my voice and my choice. And so for us, we came to a conclusion of what fits my life best and what's best for my disease and where it's at. And I think that that's a doctor-patient relationship, as you know, is very intimate and very important, and you've got to be the most honest of anyone.
Yes.
With your physician.
And I think it's important for viewers to understand that this is a chronic condition, and it's going to require chronic care, and that's individualized. So your treatment, even if you have MS, might look different from somebody else who has MS. And it's so important to have those open conversations with your care provider, your specialist, neurologist, whoever it may be.
That's right.
And the whole care team.
It's like you said, it's a full-time job, it's daily management, and it's part of my everyday, it's part of my every choice, it's part of my every experience. That being said, it does not define who I am, and it does not affect or interfere with who I want to be.
My last question for you, and it ties in so nicely with all the things you've already said, which is, what do you do, given your very high function and high kind of pressured position as a woman, a mother, a wife, an actress, an activist? What do you do for self-care?
Meditation is number one. I used to think I don't know how to meditate. I won't know how. I actually went to India.
So you went to an ashram in India?
I did.
Which is where my parents are from?
I did, and it was incredible because I sat across from our beautiful Guruji, and I remember the first thing he said to me was, "You cannot do this wrong. You cannot do this wrong." And that was all the advice I needed. He opened me up to just be me and be open and accept myself. And like I said, I think acceptance is the door to every possibility. And a diagnosis is a hard thing to accept, but the moment that you do, that comes along with accepting all the feelings, all of the options, all of the possibilities.
And so thank you for sharing the meditation. I have a bit of a stressful life. I ever since I incorporated daily meditation, it's really transformed the way that I approach work and life, family, friends. I'm always going to have stress. We're always going to have stress, but how we respond and handle it. Meditation is one mindfulness tool that can certainly help how we respond. I'm going to assume as well that I talk to my patients in the public about other self-care techniques that I utilize, just good nutrition, hydration, and sleep, and physical fitness to the extent that you're capable of, and then having a very good support system, and which includes asking for help. There's no shame in it. It sounds like you do pretty much all of those things.
I try to, and like I said, it's been trials and tribulation, but it is my honor to share what I've learned in hopes that, it can help people, whether they're at the beginning of their journey or however far along, that they can know that there's a lot of hope.
Jamie-Lynn, is there anything else that you want to say that I didn't ask, any kind of key message you want to get out there?
I don't think so. Again, it's reframingms.com. I really hope that people that live with MS find it helpful. These are the things that have really gotten me through and gotten to me where I am today, which is a pretty good place and a place I never thought I would be.
Folks, this is Jamie-Lynn Sigler. I mean, she's just a beautiful soul. I am so grateful to you for sharing your story, your journey. You do not have to have the letters MD behind your name to be saving lives, and that's really what you're doing by sharing your journey and your story. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, Jamie-Lynn could not have been nicer. I am so grateful to her for taking the time out of her busy schedule to share her journey with multiple sclerosis and to inspire others to get help, including getting medications and medical treatments as soon as possible. If you or someone you know is having MS-like symptoms, please see a doctor right away. Don't delay treatment. Multiple sclerosis is a complex disease that requires a comprehensive approach, including specialists like a neurologist, medications, rehabilitation, and emotional support. While there is no cure, medications like steroids and treatments like plasmapheresis or plasma exchange can treat acute MS attacks. Other medicines, known as disease-modifying therapies, can reduce relapse rates, slow the formation of new lesions, and potentially lower the risk of brain atrophy and disability. Examples of these medications or treatments include injectable interferon beta medications and monoclonal antibodies, oral medications, and infusion treatments like Tisabri and Ocrevus. So how can you make a difference? You can learn from, donate to, or volunteer with organizations like the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, or NINS, the MS Society UK, the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation, and many more. Well, that's all for today, folks. Here's your joke of the day. What did the balloon say to the doctor? I feel lightheaded. Well, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, write comments below, and follow my Instagram at Health, Humor, Harmony, Dr. Roy. Be well. I'll see you soon.